Hi, I'm Adam Badke, Community Manager here at Eidos Montreal. I'm here today with Mr. Stephen Gallagher, Narrative Director on Eidos Montreal's Thief, and we're going to take a little bit of a closer look at the story of the game.
You may think you caught me, but think again. Because when I want something, I always get it.
When you guys sat down to put pen to paper, what were your original inspirations?
The biggest driving inspiration I feel was that when you have a character as complex as Garrett, finding a position to put him in and seeing how he can react to that was the biggest inspiration. So at the beginning of the project, I spent a lot of time involved with the animation side, so kind of thinking about how Garrett would perform, how he would act, how he would think. So the "what would Garrett do" mantra became really, really useful. If you think about Garrett, of who he is, he doesn't know where he came from exactly. You know, who are his parents? He doesn't know. He grew up in an orphanage, and very quickly he escaped that orphanage. Even then, you could see this very strong desire to be free, to be independent. It's almost like he has to send a message to the world. You know, it's like, I only need myself. Right. Now, as a child on the streets, of course, he would have had to have stolen just to survive. And this basically, I think, is where Garrett discovers this ability within himself where he doesn't just steal, he's so much more than that.
How many people are actually involved in creating the script?
It's a pretty small team by any standards. There's like a 50-50 split with the guys that we've got. I've got a couple of designers who help to implement the actual content that's written on the floor, and like a small team of writers that actually help me to do the cinematics, the in-game dialogue, the material that you'll find in the game to read, the bugs, etc., etc.
Okay.
I am Garrett.
How would you describe the atmosphere of the city when Garrett returns?
The atmosphere of the city's pretty oppressive. It's not a happy place. A lot has gone wrong. I mean, the Barons oppressing the people with the militia on the streets, the watch, there's a sickness in the air, the people are really struggling, there's a food shortage. It's a pretty emotionally raw experience for Garrett when he gets back.
So can you tell us a little bit more about the Baron? Like, who is he and why is he in control of the city?
The Baron is the latest in the line of the House Northcrest who have taken the chair. Baron Elias Northcrest, his father before him and his grandfather were very proactive on the industry and the technology. Baron Northcrest is really taking that a step further now. He's in a position whereby he's trying to get the city to take that big step forward, where industry and technology is driving everything.
Right.
Unfortunately, this is coming at the price of the people's happiness, because as the city's starting to degenerate, things are getting out of control, and everyone's pretty unhappy.
What relation does narrative have to the game design and the actual implementation of the mechanics of the game?
Yeah, I'll give you an analogy that I used when we started. I see it as a bridge between the gameplay and the story itself. Because writing a good story doesn't mean that it's going to just be easy to tell it because it's in a game. There's a lot of gameplay that a gamer wants to experience without being distracted. Narrative is the bridge between that, where we enable level design to implement the story without it being a distracting element to the player, and they can still enjoy it to its full effect.
Right. So what are fans of the classic Thief games going to love about the story of Eidos Montreal's Thief?
The same as everybody else. I mean, It's got a great story. You don't need to have played the old games to enjoy the new story of Thief. I'll repeat, as I've said in the past, they're separate stories. The main narrative arc is actually quite linear, but we do have an interesting scenario where the city itself evolves around that narrative arc, so it gets you more immersed and more connected with where you live. Having said that, there is side content. Of course, we want to give variety and extra content to players who want to explore.
Right.
So all the way throughout the game, you have the ability to go off and find these optional content. Having said that, if you do know the old Thief universe, then you can still explore our world and see if there's stuff in there that might get your interest up about some things. But you'll have to play the game and explore to find those things.
Excellent. A lot of people are wondering if we're going to see any reference to the classic factions from the old Thief games.
I will say, it's been mentioned before, we love the Thief universe. If you explore, maybe you'll find some things which, if you know what you're looking for, you'll be like, wait a minute, that's kind of interesting. That's all I'm going to say for now. I suggest, like I say, play the game, enjoy the story. You'll have all the answers you ever wanted.
Very interesting. Well, thank you very much for joining us here today, Stephen.
It's been a pleasure.
I think that about wraps it up for everyone at home. Thank you very much for joining us. For more on Thief, join us at Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, all of them /Thief.